All right, so we've got this JSX, right, where we've got the HTML and the JavaScript like kind of mixed together, and we're allowed to do a lot of things with that. So one of the cool things we can do is we can change the style of an element based on the value of a variable. Meaning, if we go back to our lab, when I click light and dark, this box is supposed to change color. And when I go up and down on the font size, that vanilla is supposed to get bigger or smaller. All right, so that's what I'm trying to do. So light and dark is a boolean. So basically, if it's false, that's supposed to be like a black or gray background color, and if it's light, it's white. And those up and down buttons are supposed to change that font size variable, which will make the text bigger or smaller. So the style of my UI needs to be updated based on the value of those variables, which React lets us do in spades. All right, let's go ahead and do it. So here is my child component, the add component. All right, now let's work with here the flavor. All right, I'm going to go ahead and change this to a p tag. It should have been a p tag. All right, then we're going to do style equals, and we're going to do two curly brackets. All right, so we're going to pass in an object to the styles, and I'm going to basically say the font size is going to come from props. Remember that we have this object props, which contains the properties of the child component. So props dot font size. So that means that this p tag, this style, okay, again, it takes an object with, and you can have multiple things if you want, like font size and like color, oops, comma, color, blah blah blah. Okay, it was just like a JavaScript object. So name of the property value, name of the property value. Okay, in this case, we don't want font size. And now, whenever the font size that's passed in to this child object child component changes, the font size of this element will change. We can see that in the UI. So let's switch over. Okay, I'm going to go hit up and down. So I hit up. Okay, 31, 32. See how the text is getting bigger? Because the font size is getting bigger. And then the reverse is true. Okay, so now that style is dynamic. Okay, which is pretty cool. All right, so we did style, and then we did two curly brackets. You notice how one is blue and one is yellow. All right, so the yellow one's the object, and we're passing in, okay, the style, in this case, font size, which is going to be set to the font size of the properties that's being passed into this child component. So every time it changes, React updates the UI to reflect our change. Really good stuff. Now, let me show you in the add.css. I have the CSS for making the background black. All right, I just called it add two hyphens dark. All right, so I would like this class name to change based on whether or not is true or false. Right, and that's fine. We can do that. We're gonna need to add some variables in the front. So let's do here. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do let class name equal add space. Okay, and then I'm going to put some more stuff in here. I'm going to do plus, and then we're going to put an expression in here. I'm going to do props dot is light. So basically, if props dot is light is true, I want it to add the add light class. If not, it's going to be add what I call add two hyphens dark. All right, and then on line 12, I'm going to change it so that it will be class name. So here's how this will work. The property is being passed into the component. It's either true or false. If it's true, this variable will be set to this. So it'll have add, which is the class name for the parent, and we'll have one of these two. If it's light, it's true, it'll be light. If it's false, it'll be dark. There's no class for this. I just wanted it to be white, so we'll just remove the other one. All right, and then the class name will be set to that. So it's variable, meaning either it'll be, basically the class is going to look like one of two things. This variable class name could either be AD hyphen light or AD two hyphens dark. It could be one of these two things. So that means that one of these two values is going to be put into here, and that means that my class name for the whole thing will change. That way, when I update it, it will look different, like the color. So let's go ahead and try it out. Let's see if it works. Maybe it doesn't. So hit dark and see how it changes this like black, and then hit light, it changes to white. Okay, so the UI is dynamic. Okay, let's go back over how I did that. Okay, so in line 10, guys, I just made a variable called class name, and I need a string. Okay, so normally, like on line 14, you put div class name equals, and normally you put a string in there. Well, I would like that more dynamic, and this is just a hard-coded string. I'm going to dynamically create a string, and I'm going to put in there. So I would say, okay, cool. If props.isLight, so using the ternary operator, if it's true, we're going to do that, the first class, add 2 hyphens light. Else, that's colon means else, then we're going to add dark. You can have any logic you want here, right? So I just did ternary operator to put it all in one line. And then on line 14, whatever the value of the variable class name on line 10 is going to put it in there. That means we can have a dynamic class name. So you can have different styles. So you could define styles in your CSS, and then different ones can be added or subtracted from elements on your page based on variables. This means that our UI can respond to changes. That is the power of what we're doing, right? So that means that when I come back here, first it has the light class, and then when I do this, it will add the dark class. Okay, and if you do like right click and inspect, you see AD 2 hyphens dark. Okay, I'm gonna hit light and see how it updates the class right there. Okay, all this happens in real time. React is awesome. It's doing this for us. So now I'm able to change it from light to dark, and I'm also able to change the size of my text at will. All right, so I'm going to inspect here. It says it's font size 39. See how it updates the DOM for us, so you can see those numbers change. Right? And now we've got a dynamic UI, a UI that will change based on the user's input, and that's why we're using that JSX, which is a marriage of JavaScript and HTML to combine them together to give us a dynamic UI. All right, so I think we've fulfilled the requirements for ad design. We'll do the voting component next.